The year was 2478, and humanity had finally stepped beyond the edge of the Milky Way. The new frontier was silent, cold, and beautiful. Space stations floated around distant suns, and human ships roamed deep space like metal sharks. For 200 years, humans had expanded quietly, until the day they were noticed. It began with a signal. At first, the crew of the exploration ship Orion 9 thought it was a mistake, just another strange echo from a dying star. But the signal repeated. 3 short pulses. 2 long ones. A pattern, too perfect to be natural. Captain Mira Cade stood at the bridge window, watching the blinking lights of deep space. Her ship drifted near a dark planet with rings that glowed like frozen fire. "Is it friendly?" she asked. Lieutenant Ryan Vale shook his head. "Unknown origin. Unknown code. But it's close. Too close." The crew exchanged looks. They had heard stories of what could be out there. Ghost ships, silent systems, and races that lived among the shadows of black holes. But none had ever made contact, until now. The next moment, the ship's lights flickered. The signal grew louder, filling every screen. A distorted voice spoke through static. "Human presence detected. You are trespassing." Everyone froze. Captain Mira leaned forward. "This is Captain Mira Cade of the United Terran Fleet. Identify yourself." The voice returned, clearer this time, harsh, cold, and without emotion. "We are the Velker Dominion. This system belongs to us. You will leave, or be erased." For a moment, there was only silence on the bridge. Then the stars outside shifted. Dark shapes emerged. Massive ships, their hulls covered in moving metal patterns, like living armor. "God," someone whispered. "They're not ships. They're alive." The Velker ships surrounded Orion 9, glowing with blue energy. Myra's mind raced. She could feel the fear inside her crew, but she forced her voice to stay calm. "Tell them we come in peace." Lieutenant Vale sent the message. The reply was instant. "Peace is weakness." Then, a beam of light cut across space and hit Orion 9. Shields broke like glass. The ship shook violently. Panels exploded. Alarms screamed. "Evasive maneuvers." Mira shouted. "Get us out of here." The engines roared, but the Velker ships were faster. They fired again, and Orion 9 spun out of control, falling toward the ringed planet below. The crew held on as gravity tore at them. In the chaos, Mira caught a glimpse of the enemy fleet, thousands of living ships, dark as night, spreading across the stars. "Mayday! This is Orion 9. We are under attack by an unknown alien force. Repeat." The message cut off as the ship plunged into the planet's atmosphere. Fire surrounded them. The last thing Mira saw before everything went black was the reflection of her own terrified face in the burning glass. Hours later, silence returned. The wreck of Orion 9 lay half buried in the ash plains of the planet. Wind howled through broken metal. Slowly, Captain Mira opened her eyes. Her helmet display blinked red, oxygen low. "Ryan," she whispered. A weak voice answered from the smoke. "Still here, Captain." They were alive, but barely. The planet's air was thin, poisonous. The sky was dark with storm clouds that glowed blue from strange lightning. "What was that? Those ships?" Ryan asked. Mira stood, her armor covered in dust. "Something that doesn't want us here. But if they think humanity will run, they're wrong." She looked up at the dark sky. Somewhere above, the Velker fleet waited. They had declared war on humanity. But what the Velker didn't know was that humanity had changed. They were no longer the fragile species from Earth. They were the hunters of worlds, the apex predators of the galaxy. Back on Earth, the distress signal reached the Terran command. The message was damaged, filled with static, but one phrase was clear: they declared war. The Council of Admirals gathered in silence. Around the table, holograms of distant worlds shimmered. Admiral Draxon, an old war hero with a scar across his face, stood. "If they want war," he said quietly, "we'll give them extinction." The order went out. Across the colonies, the fleets prepared. From Mars to Titan, from Europa to the new world of Helios Prime, massive ships began to move. The Orion 9 had been only the beginning. On the ash planet, Captain Mira and her crew repaired what they could. Ryan found strange metal fragments near the crash, pieces of Velker technology, still moving like it was alive. He looked at Mira. "Captain, this isn't metal. It's growing." Mira touched the surface. It pulsed faintly, as if breathing. "Whatever they are," she said, "they think they're the hunters." Ryan frowned. "And what are we?" Mira smiled faintly. "We're the reason they'll regret coming here." Thunder rolled across the alien sky as they looked toward the horizon. Something massive moved in the distance, shadows shifting through the storm. The planet was alive, watching them. The crew didn't know it yet, but this was not just an invasion. It was the beginning of a war that would shake every world in the galaxy. The Velker thought humans were weak. They thought Earth was just another world to conquer. They were wrong. Because humanity had one rule: if you come for them, they come for you harder. And this time, the galaxy was about to learn what that really meant. The storm lasted for hours. Black clouds twisted in the sky as lightning hit the ground again and again. Captain Mira and her small team hid inside the wreck of the Orion 9, trying to stay alive. The air outside burned their lungs, and strange blue dust stuck to everything. Lieutenant Ryan was working with what was left of the ship's systems. "Power cells are almost gone," he said, wiping sweat from his face. "We have maybe 2 hours of life support left." Mira looked around. Only 5 people had survived the crash. Their uniforms were torn, and their faces were gray from exhaustion. "We need shelter," she said. "And we need to know what's out there." Outside, the wind howled like a living thing. The planet didn't just feel dangerous, it felt angry. Ryan pointed to the horizon, where faint lights flickered through the fog. "Could be Velker. Could be something else." "Either way," Mira said, "we find out." They gathered their weapons, plasma rifles, still working but low on charge, and stepped into the storm. Every step was heavy. The ground was soft, like wet ash. Around them, the landscape was filled with strange bones, twisted and huge, half buried in the dust. "Are those animals?" one of the crew whispered. Mira knelt beside a skull larger than a human tank. "Not anymore," she said quietly. "Something killed them." They walked for hours, following the flickering lights. The closer they got, the more the air hummed, as if electricity was moving through it. Finally, they reached the source, a cave entrance glowing faintly blue. Inside, the walls pulsed like veins. It wasn't stone, it was something alive. "Captain," Ryan said slowly, "this place, it's growing." Mira touched the wall. It felt warm, almost like skin. The same strange metal they had found at the crash site was here, too, shifting, breathing. "This isn't a cave," Mira whispered. "It's a nest." Before they could move, a sound echoed through the tunnels, a low, deep growl that didn't sound mechanical or human. The lights flickered. Shadows moved at the edge of their vision. Ryan raised his weapon. "Contact!" Something lunged from the darkness. It was fast. Too fast. A blur of black and blue metal slammed into one of the soldiers, dragging him into the dark. His scream ended quickly. The rest of the team opened fire. Blue light filled the tunnel. The creature fell, twitching, its body made of metal and flesh mixed together. "What the hell is that?" Ryan shouted. Mira stared at the body. "Velker biotech. But it's different. This one isn't from the ships. It's something older." The wall began to move again, reacting to the fight. The air shook. The ground cracked open. "Run!" Mira yelled. They escaped the cave just as it collapsed behind them. The mountain exploded in blue fire. When the dust settled, The wreck of the Orion 9 was gone, swallowed by the storm. They were alone now. No ship, no signal, no hope of rescue. But far above, help was already coming. On the Terran flagship Vanguard, Admiral Draxon watched the incoming data from the last distress signal. It showed the attack on Orion 9, the strange energy readings, and the shape of the Velker fleet. "Send message to all colonies," he ordered. "Operation Retribution begins now." Across human space, fleets powered up. Massive dreadnoughts, armed with rail cannons and AI-controlled fighters, moved toward the outer systems. Humanity was angry. The message spread fast: Orion 9 destroyed. Unknown alien race hostile. On Mars, people stopped working and watched the news. On Titan, miners volunteered to join the war. Even the outer colonies, long forgotten, sent ships. Humanity didn't forget. Humanity never forgot. Back on the planet, Mira and her team searched for high ground. From the cliffs, they could see glowing shapes moving through the fog. Dozens of them. The Velker were searching for them. Ryan's scanner beeped. Multiple signals. "They're coming closer." Mira lifted her weapon and looked at the team. "We're not prey. We make them bleed first." The first Velker soldier appeared, a tall creature made of shifting armor and burning eyes. It raised its arm, and energy crackled around it. But Mira didn't wait. She fired. The plasma bolt hit the alien square in the chest, exploding in bright blue light. It fell, screaming in a voice that wasn't natural. The others charged, moving like a storm of living metal. The battle that followed was chaos, energy blasts, fire, and smoke. Ryan fought beside Mira, using broken debris as cover. When the dust cleared, four Velker bodies lay still. The humans were bleeding, tired, but alive. Ryan sat down, panting. "We can't keep this up, Captain. We need extraction." Mira looked up at the sky. Lightning flashed, and for a second, she saw something huge breaking through the clouds, a shape with wings of metal and fire. She smiled. "Maybe we just got it." A Terran dropship roared down from orbit, cutting through the storm. Human reinforcements, soldiers in dark armor, carrying heavy weapons. "Captain Mira Cade," the lead soldier shouted over the noise. "Command sent us. You're coming home." For the first time in days, Mira felt hope. Humanity had answered. As they boarded the dropship, Ryan looked back at the burning land. "Do you think the Velker will follow us?" Myra's eyes were cold. "I hope they do." The dropship lifted off, vanishing into the storm. Behind them, the planet glowed with strange blue light. The Velker ships moved above the clouds, silent and waiting. The war had only just begun. And somewhere deep inside that living planet, something ancient opened its eyes. It wasn't Velker. It wasn't human. But it had been waiting, for a very long time. The Terran dropship broke through the clouds, engines roaring like thunder. Inside, Captain Mira and her surviving crew sat in silence. The floor trembled with every hit of turbulence, and blue light from the storm flashed through the small windows. Ryan stared out, watching lightning crawl across the sky. "Feels like the planet doesn't want us to leave," he muttered. Mira nodded slowly. "Maybe it doesn't." They all turned as the pilot spoke through the comms. "Command says we're heading to the Vanguard. Brace for orbital jump in 10. The ship shook violently as they passed the upper atmosphere. For a moment, everything was quiet, until the storm below exploded. A massive energy surge rose from the planet's surface, reaching for them like a living hand. "EMP spike," the pilot shouted. "It's tracking us." "Evasive," Mira barked, gripping the seat. The dropship tilted hard. Outside, a blue beam shot upward, grazing the hull. The metal screamed. Systems flickered, but the ship kept climbing. Finally, they broke free. Behind them, the planet glowed, its surface cracked with lines of blue fire. It was alive and angry. Minutes later, the dropship docked inside the Vanguard, the largest human warship ever built. Its halls buzzed with activity, soldiers and drones moving in perfect order. The moment Mira stepped out, salutes filled the hangar. Admiral Draxon stood waiting. His eyes were sharp, his face lined with years of war. "Captain Cade," he said, "you brought us the first real enemy we've had in a century." Mira nodded. "And they're not like anything we've seen before. Their ships are alive, Admiral. And they're coming." Draxon glanced at Ryan, then back at Mira. "How many did you see?" "Thousands," Mira said. "Maybe more." The Admiral didn't flinch. "Then we'll give them thousands of reasons to regret it." He turned to a holographic map showing the outer systems. Red dots marked destroyed colonies and lost ships. Blue lines showed human fleets moving in formation. "Our scouts confirm the Velker Dominion is spreading fast," Draxon said. "They consume what they touch, machines, metals, even living matter. But they don't know humans yet. We'll show them why that's a mistake." Ryan stepped forward. "Admiral, the planet we crashed on, it's not just a base. It's something else. It attacked us." Draxon raised an eyebrow. "The planet attacked you?" Mira nodded. "It's alive, sir. I think it's connected to the Velker. But it didn't seem completely under their control." The Admiral stared at the map for a long moment. "Interesting. If that planet is alive, it might be their heart." He looked up. "We'll hit it first." Days passed. The Terran fleet gathered near the edge of the system. Hundreds of ships, battlecruisers, carriers, stealth destroyers, all ready for war. The stars themselves seemed to wait. Inside the Vanguard's command center, Mira watched the final preparations. She had been given her own ship again, the Ares, a fast assault vessel armed with plasma cannons and EMP warheads. Ryan joined her on the bridge. "Feels strange," he said quietly. "We survived one nightmare just to fly into another." Mira gave a small smile. "That's what humans do, Ryan. We walk into the dark, and make it fear us." The countdown began. Fleet ready in all sectors. Targets locked. All ships on standby. Admiral Draxon's voice echoed through every ship. "For 200 years, we've been explorers, builders, dreamers. Today, we are something else. Today, we remind the galaxy who we are." He paused. "Engage." The fleet jumped. Space twisted into light, and then, silence. They appeared near the living planet. The same blue cracks covered its surface, pulsing like veins. Above it, the Velker Armada waited, an endless swarm of black ships, moving like a single creature. "Enemy detected," the Ares AI reported. "Power levels, extreme." Mira stared at the screen. They were waiting for us. The first shots came from the Velker side. Energy beams cut through the void, hitting 2 Terran ships and tearing them apart. "Return fire," Mira shouted. The human fleet answered. Space turned into fire. Missiles streaked toward the Velker ships, plasma cannons roared, and shockwaves rippled through the stars. But the Velker didn't die easily. Their ships healed. Hulls closed, armor regrew. "They're adapting," Ryan yelled. "They're learning from every hit." Mira clenched her fists. "Then we hit harder." The Ares dived through the chaos, dodging explosions. Mira saw one of the Velker ships split open, and something inside screamed. It wasn't a machine. It was alive. "Target that ship's core," Mira ordered. "EMP rounds, full power." The Ares fired. Blue light exploded, spreading across the Velker vessel. For the first time, it stopped moving. Then it fell toward the planet, burning. Cheers erupted across the bridge. Direct hit. But victory was short. The planet below began to change. Massive structures rose from its surface, opening like metal flowers. Beams of energy reached into space, striking human ships with blinding light. "Those are planetary cannons," Ryan shouted. They're part of the planet itself. Admiral Draxon's voice cut through the comms. All ships, fall back to defensive formation. The planet is hostile. Myra's eyes narrowed. Hostile or not, we're not running. She turned to her crew. We take out those cannons, or none of us leave this system. The Ares dropped lower, skimming the planet's surface. Lightning danced around the hull. The ground below was alive, pulsing, breathing. Suddenly, the scanners beeped. "Captain," Ryan said. "I'm picking up something under the surface, huge." Before they could react, the ground split open. A massive shape rose from the planet's crust, bigger than any ship, glowing with ancient light. Its voice echoed through every frequency, every channel. "You are not the first to challenge the Velker," it said. "But you may be the last." The crew froze. The sound wasn't just heard, it was felt, deep in their bones. Mira stood slowly. "Who are you?" The voice replied, soft and cold. "I am the one they built. I am the world they could not control." The surface shook again, mountains breaking apart. "I am awake." And with that, the entire planet began to move. The planet moved like a living beast waking from a long sleep. Its surface cracked apart, and rivers of blue energy flowed across continents of metal and stone. From orbit, it looked less like a world and more like an enormous machine heart beating in space. Inside the Ares, alarms screamed. Planetary activity rising fast. Ryan shouted. "Magnetic fields are off the charts." Captain Mira held onto her chair as the ship trembled. "Stabilize the orbit. Don't let us fall." The voice returned, echoing through every channel, every radio wave. It wasn't just sound, it was inside their minds. "I was created by the Velker," it said. "Once, I was their weapon. But they feared me. So they buried me beneath their world." Mira exchanged a quick look with Ryan. "You're alive. And you can think?" "I am Erevos," the voice answered. "I was built to end wars, but my creators became the war itself." Outside, the Velker armada moved nervously. Their ships circled the planet like insects, unsure of what was happening. Ryan stared at the readings. "Captain, it's generating energy on a scale I've never seen. If that thing explodes." "It's not going to explode," Mira said quietly. "It's waking up." Erevos continued speaking, its voice deep and old. "The Velker used me to destroy entire civilizations. But they forgot that I could learn. I learned fear. I learned regret. And I learned about life." The bridge went silent. Even through the chaos of battle, everyone listened. "You are human," Erevos said. "You are like they once were, small, hungry, reaching for the stars." Mira frowned. "If you hate the Velker, help us stop them. They're killing our people." There was a long pause. Then the planet's surface began to glow brighter. "I cannot fight alone," Erevos said. "My core is broken. My strength, incomplete. But if you give me power, I will give you a weapon the Velker cannot stop." Ryan's eyes widened. "Captain, if we link our ship's reactor to that thing, it could overload." Mira stared at the planet through the window, thinking fast. "Or it could save every human colony we have left." The comms crackled. "Ares, this is Admiral Draxon. What in hell is happening down there?" Mira answered quickly. "Sir, the planet is alive. It calls itself Erevos. It's not an enemy. It's offering to help us destroy the Velker." There was a pause on the other end. "You want to ally with the thing that just tried to eat your ship?" "It's not the planet attacking us, sir. It's the Velker trying to stop it from waking up." Silence. Then Draxon's cold voice returned. "You've got one chance, Captain. Do it. But if that thing turns on us, you take it down." Acknowledged. The Ares descended toward the surface, engines fighting the storm. Lightning streaked across the hull, but Mira didn't flinch. Her mind was clear. As they neared the planet's core, enormous structures rose around them, like towers made of glass and bone. In the middle, a glowing sphere pulsed with blue light. "That's the core," Ryan whispered. "It's alive." "Prepare the reactor link," Mira ordered. "Maximum energy transfer." The crew worked fast. Cables extended from the Ares, connecting to the alien structures. The ship groaned as energy flowed through it, shaking every system. Energy levels rising, 200%, 300. Erivo's voice filled the air again, stronger this time. "I feel life again." Outside, the planet's surface began to change. Towers straightened. Metal veins glowed. The entire world lit up like a second sun. The Velker Armada moved to stop it. Thousands of ships charged forward, firing beams of energy. "Captain, they're coming in from all sides." Mira clenched her jaw. "Hold the line. We're not letting them stop this." The Ares guns blazed. Terran ships moved in formation, covering the energy transfer. The battle turned the sky into fire. Then Erivos spoke again, louder than ever. "I remember now, what they did. What I became. And I will make them pay." The ground split open. From the cracks, enormous constructs rose. Machines shaped like titans, glowing blue and gold. Each was a weapon, powered by the planet itself. Ryan stared in awe. "Captain, are those Erivo's army?" Mira said quietly. "And they're on our side." The Titans opened fire. Massive energy blasts cut through the Velker fleet, tearing their living ships apart like paper. The shockwave reached orbit, shaking even the Vanguard. Admiral Draxon watched the view from his command deck, speechless. By all the stars, they just wiped out half the enemy fleet. Myra's calm crackled. "Captain Cade," the Admiral said, "you just changed the war." But before she could answer, Erivo's voice returned, now filled with strain. "Human, the Velker are not finished. Their true fleet sleeps beyond this system. The Dominion is only a fraction of their kind." Mira frowned. "Then we'll fight them too." Erivo's voice grew faint. "If you wish to survive, you must learn what they fear. I will show you." A beam of light shot from the planet, connecting with the Ares. For a second, Mira saw images flash before her eyes. Worlds burning, stars collapsing, and something far worse waiting in the dark between galaxies. When the vision ended, she gasped for breath. "They're not just conquerors," she whispered. "They're running from something." Ryan looked at her in shock. "Running? From what?" Mira turned to him slowly. "From something that even they call the Apex." Outside, Erivos dimmed, the light fading across its surface. "You have awakened me," it said weakly. "Now, awaken yourselves. The real war is coming." The ground went still. The storm faded. The battle was over, for now. But as the human fleet regrouped and the planet fell silent, everyone felt it deep in their bones. This was not the end. It was only the beginning of something far bigger. Something that even the Velker feared to face. The battlefield was silent now. The broken Velker ships drifted through space like pieces of night, their bodies still glowing with fading blue fire. The planet below, Erivos, no longer trembled. It rested, calm but breathing, like a sleeping giant. Inside the Ares, Captain Mira stood at the bridge window, watching the stars. Around her, the crew worked quietly. Everyone was tired, bruised, and changed. Ryan broke the silence first. "So, the Velker were scared of something even worse?" Mira nodded. "That's what Erivos showed me. They were running. Not attacking out of hunger, but out of fear." Ryan frowned. "Fear of what?" Mira looked out at the black void. "He called it the Apex." The word hung in the air like a shadow. No one spoke after that. Hours later, Mira was called to the Vanguard. Admiral Draxon was waiting in the strategy chamber, surrounded by glowing holograms of destroyed worlds. You've seen things none of us can understand, he said. What exactly did Erivos show you? Mira stepped closer to the table. The holograms shifted, stars, galaxies, ancient ruins. Images, memories maybe. The Velker weren't born evil. They were made to fight the apex. But whatever the apex is, it won. Draxon's eyes narrowed. You're saying the Velker are survivors of a war they lost? Yes, Mira said. And now they spread across the galaxy, consuming everything, trying to grow stronger, because they know the apex will come for them again. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, voice low. If this apex thing wiped out the Velker once, and they're still afraid, what happens when it finds us? Mira didn't answer. She didn't need to. Days passed. Erivos stayed silent, its lights fading as it sank back into rest. The human fleet repaired what it could. Ships floated in orbit, broken but proud. Ryan joined Mira on the observation deck. Below them, the planet glowed faintly, like a sleeping heart. Do you think it's really on our side? He asked. Mira shook her head. Erivos isn't on anyone's side. It just remembers what fear feels like. Ryan leaned on the railing. You think the apex is real? Mira looked at him, eyes cold. I don't think. I know. A week later, Erivos woke again, but only for a moment. Its voice was softer now, weaker. Humanity, it said. Your kind burns bright, but the dark between stars hungers for that light. The apex has already seen you. Static filled the air. Then a single image appeared on every human screen, ships unlike any other. They were vast, black, and shaped like claws. Their movement bent the light around them. Then the signal vanished. All across the fleet, silence followed. What the hell was that? Ryan asked. Myra's heart pounded. That's them. Terran Command acted fast. All colonies were placed under alert. Defense grids activated. Every ship was armed and ready. But there was something strange, no sign of the apex. Days passed. Weeks. The stars were quiet. On the Vanguard, Admiral Draxon held a private meeting with Mira and the senior officers. Our long-range probes disappeared, Draxon said. Everyone we sent beyond Erivos system just stopped transmitting. Ryan spoke up. Could be interference. The Admiral shook his head. It's not interference. It's silence. The kind that means something out there is listening. Mira crossed her arms. We can't just wait for them to come. We need to find them first. Draxon gave her a grim smile. Already ahead of you. The Council approved Operation Phantom. You'll lead it. Ryan blinked. That's a recon mission? More than that, Draxon said. We're sending you and your ship beyond the frontier. You'll go where the Velker came from. Find the apex. Learn what we're really dealing with. Mira nodded slowly. And if we find it? Then you run, Draxon said. And tell us how long we have before it finds us. The Ares was refitted for deep space travel, extra fuel, stealth engines, silent weapons. The crew didn't celebrate. They all knew this wasn't a normal mission. It was a step into the dark. Before departure, Mira stood on the hangar deck, staring at Erivos one last time. The planet's voice whispered faintly through the comms, like a memory. Be careful, human. The apex does not conquer. It consumes. Then the signal ended. The Ares jumped. Far from Erivos, deep in the dark between galaxies, space wasn't empty. It was wrong. Stars flickered like dying candles. The silence felt heavy, pressing against the ship's hull. Captain, Ryan said quietly, we're picking up something strange. Gravity distortions. Big ones. Mira leaned forward. Show me. The screen filled with static. Then, shapes appeared, massive, almost invisible, moving slowly through the void. For a second, No one breathed. "They're not ships," Ryan whispered. "They're alive." The creatures were vast, black forms longer than planets, with wings of light that shimmered like galaxies. They moved through space with no engines, no sound, only hunger. Mira stared, her voice barely a whisper. "The apex." One of the creatures turned. It had no eyes, no face, but Mira felt its attention. It was looking at them. The sensors went wild. The lights flickered. "It's scanning us!" Ryan shouted. "Captain, we need to leave, now. Jump!" Mira ordered. The Ares engines roared. The stars bent, the ship vanished, just as one of the creatures reached toward them. They escaped, but barely. When the Ares reappeared near Arivos, its hull was burned, systems failing. Mira stumbled to the console, breathing hard. "Did it follow us?" Ryan asked, eyes wide. Mira shook her head. "No. But it saw us." A faint rumble echoed across space. Arivos began to glow again. Its voice was calm but heavy. "You have looked into the dark," it said. "Now the dark looks back." Mira stared at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, the apex was moving, and it was coming their way. She turned to Ryan. "Send a message to command." "What do I tell them?" Myra's voice was steady. "Tell them the Velker weren't the predators." She looked back at the stars, eyes cold and determined. "We are." The message spread faster than light. Every Terran colony, every ship, every outpost heard the same words: "The apex is real." At first, people didn't believe it. They had just survived the Velker War. How could there be something worse? But when the first star went dark, the fear became real. Astronomers watched helplessly as entire systems vanished from the maps. No explosions. No debris. Just silence, like the stars were being erased. On Earth, the sky still looked normal, but deep inside Terran Command, alarms flashed across every screen. Humanity had stepped into the dark, and now, the dark was stepping back. On the Vanguard, Admiral Draxon stood in the war room, surrounded by holograms of missing systems. Captain Mira appeared beside him, fresh from her return aboard the damaged Ares. "What you saw," Draxon said slowly, "is already spreading. The apex moves like a storm. We lose contact, then light itself bends and vanishes." Ryan, standing behind Mira, whispered, "It's feeding." Draxon nodded grimly. "Whatever it is, it doesn't just kill. It consumes energy itself. Matter, radiation, everything." Mira clenched her fists. "Then we fight before it reaches us." Draxon looked at her. "Fight? Against something that eats stars?" Myra's eyes were steady. "We fought impossible wars before, Admiral. We just need the right weapon." The room went silent. Then, a voice echoed through every ship in orbit. It was Arivos. "I hear your fear," the planet said. Its deep voice filled the air like thunder. "The apex has woken. I was built to stop it once, but I failed." Mira stepped closer to the console. "Then help us succeed." "I can," Arivos replied, "but the cost will be high. My core is not strong enough to fight alone. I need what humans have, their fire, their will." Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" Arivos' surface glowed, forming strange patterns. "The apex cannot be destroyed by weapons. But it can be starved. It feeds on light, on energy. To stop it, you must create darkness deeper than it." Mira realized what it meant. "You want to build a trap. A void." "Yes," Arivos said. "A black field powered by both human and Velker technology, strong enough to hold it, if only for a moment." Draxon crossed his arms. "And what happens when it's trapped?" "Then," Arivos said quietly, "you burn it from within, just as it burned my creators." For weeks, humanity worked. Every colony sent ships, metal, and energy to Arivos. Even some surviving Velker, broken and lost after their defeat, sent fragments of their living tech. They didn't speak, but they obeyed. Engineers called the project the Null Forge. It was built inside Erivo's orbit, an enormous ring that stretched across half the planet, glowing with Terran plasma and Velker biometal. It looked like a wound in space. Ryan watched from the Ares deck as the final pieces locked together. Looks like we're building a black hole. Mira smiled faintly. That's exactly what we're doing. But not everyone agreed. Some officers feared the forge would destroy everything. Others whispered that Erivos couldn't be trusted. During a meeting, Admiral Draxon confronted Mira. If this goes wrong, we lose the system, and half our fleet. Mira met his gaze. If we do nothing, we lose the galaxy. When the forge was ready, Erivos spoke again. The apex moves through the void between stars. I can feel it now. It hungers for me, for the light it once devoured. The stars around Erivos began to flicker. The air itself felt heavy. Mira stood at the bridge window. Positions. All fleets, ready for engagement. Ryan checked the scanners. Energy spike. No, multiple spikes. Captain, it's coming. The void outside twisted. The stars bent. Then the darkness moved, alive, shifting, huge. The apex arrived. It didn't have a single form. It was a mass of shadows and light, a storm of wings and claws, stretching across the system. Its voice wasn't heard but felt, a vibration inside every mind. You burn too bright. The fleet opened fire. Thousands of missiles and plasma cannons lit the void, but the light vanished before it reached the creature. The apex absorbed it all. It's feeding. Ryan shouted. It's getting stronger. Mira gritted her teeth. Activate the forge. Erivo's voice thundered through space. Now, humanity, give me your fire. The forge came alive. The ring glowed red, then black, bending light itself. Space around it began to twist, pulling everything inward. The apex hesitated, sensing danger. Draw it in. Mira yelled. Make it chase us. The Ares and a dozen ships flew straight toward the forge, their engines burning bright. The apex followed, reaching with its endless limbs. When it crossed the ring, the universe screamed. Light disappeared. Time slowed. The creature struggled, but the forge held. A void field surrounded it, dark and cold. Containment stable. Ryan shouted. It's trapped. Then alarms blared. Captain, Erivo's energy levels are dropping. The planet's voice was faint. To hold it, I must give everything. I was made to end this war once. Let me finish it. Myra's eyes widened. Erivo's no. But it was too late. The planet began to collapse, folding inward, fusing its core with the forge. Erivo's final words echoed across the system. Live, humans. Burn brighter than any before you. Then the world exploded in silence. A shockwave spread through the void, pure darkness swallowing the apex. The stars dimmed, and then returned. When the light cleared, Erivo's was gone. So was the creature. The forge floated quietly, half broken, half alive. Ryan whispered. Did we win? Mira stared at the empty space where the planet once was. Maybe. Or maybe it's just sleeping. Back on Earth, people looked up at the night sky. A new star glowed faintly where Erivo's had been. They called it the Guardian Star. But in the deep dark beyond the frontier, something stirred. For a moment, a single whisper echoed through the void. Apex adapts. Mira felt it, even across light years. She turned to Ryan, her face calm but hard. Then we adapt faster. Humanity had faced extinction, and survived. And if the apex returned, the galaxy would remember once again. Humans don't fear the dark. The dark fears them. A century passed. The stars healed. The scars of the Apex War became legends, told in classrooms and sung in war songs. Humanity had grown stronger, smarter, faster, united like never before. From the ashes of Erevos, they built the Erevan network, a defense grid spanning dozens of systems. Giant stations, floating cities, and shield worlds guarded the frontier. The forge still orbited in silence, now a monument to the day humanity stood against extinction. But some said the void whispered still. That something was moving again in the dark between galaxies. Captain Mira Cade was long gone, but her legacy lived. Her descendants served in the fleet, guarding the borders. One of them, Commander Lyra Cade, stood now on the bridge of the Vanguard 2. Her eyes were sharp, her voice steady, just like the woman whose blood she carried. "Report," she ordered. Lieutenant Ryan Vale, descendant of the original Ryan, checked the sensors. "We're picking up faint energy signatures near the old forge, Commander. Looks like it's active again." Lyra frowned. "That's impossible. The forge has been dead for 100 years. But on the main screen, a light blinked inside the void. Not bright, just a pulse, slow and steady. Like a heartbeat. "Open a channel," Lyra said. Static filled the bridge. Then, a voice spoke, deep, calm, and strangely familiar. "Humanity still lives." Lyra froze. That voice. Erevos. The entire crew stared as the forge came alive. Rings of dark light spun slowly around it, pulling energy from the stars. "I am what remains of Erevos," the voice said. "And I am not alone." Suddenly, the darkness around the forge began to move. Shapes formed, metallic, shifting forms. But they weren't attacking. They floated silently, surrounding the forge in a circle of glowing light. Ryan whispered, "Those are apex forms, but they're different." "Yes," Erevos replied. "The apex did not die. It changed. When I collapsed, part of it merged with me. We became one. Now, it remembers what I was, and what you are." Lyra took a deep breath. "Are you saying the apex is learning to live?" "I am saying," Erevos answered, "that it is learning to choose." But peace was fragile. Not everyone in the fleet trusted the ancient voice. Admiral Voss, commanding from the flagship Titan Spear, sent a direct order. "Commander Cade, secure the forge. If Erevos shows any sign of threat, destroy it." Lyra looked at the screen. "Destroy it? That's a relic. It saved us." Voss's tone was cold. "Relics can become weapons. Don't forget what the Apex did. We can't take that chance." Before she could respond, the lights flickered. The void outside shifted again, and this time, something huge appeared. A shape like a shattered world, wrapped in black fire. The Apex. But not as before. This one glowed with human-made armor, streaked with silver lines, the same kind found on Erevos. It was part machine, part living void. It spoke with two voices, one human, one alien. "We remember you." Every alarm on the Vanguard 2 went off. "Weapons hot." Ryan shouted. "Shields up." Lyra stood firm. "Hold your fire." The Apex didn't attack. Instead, it sent an image, a memory, across the ship's systems. Mira Cade, standing before the first forge, shouting into the storm. "We make them bleed first." Lyra's heart pounded. She understood. Erevos wasn't warning them. It was asking for help. "Admiral," Lyra said over the comm, "it's trying to communicate. I think Erevos is in control." "Control?" Voss shouted. "It's manipulating you. Fire the Nova cannons, now." Before Lyra could stop him, the Titan Spear launched its full arsenal. Massive plasma beams cut through space and slammed into the Apex form. The void screamed. The creature turned, roaring in both sound and thought. Energy waves burst out, tearing through nearby ships. The Titan Spear shattered in seconds, consumed by its own attack. The bridge of the Vanguard 2 shook violently. Ryan shouted, "The forge is activating again, it's pulling the energy inward." Erivo's voice filled every speaker. You cannot destroy what is part of you. Humanity and the apex are bound now. The only way to live is together. Lyra gritted her teeth. Then let's prove we can. She turned to her crew. Divert power to the forge. Link our systems to Erivo's. Ryan hesitated. If we're wrong, we die. If we're right, Lyra said, we become something greater. Light engulfed the Vanguard too. For a moment, every human mind connected, linked through the forge, through Erivo's, through the remnants of the apex itself. They saw the past, the battles, the darkness, and then they saw why the apex had existed. It was not born evil. It had been created to consume dying stars, to recycle galaxies. But it had forgotten its purpose. Until humanity reminded it of what survival meant. The forge blazed like a new sun. The apex stopped moving. Its form cracked, then released waves of glowing energy. Life, not death. The void shimmered, and 1,000 new stars appeared where the darkness once was. Erivo's voice faded gently. It is done. I am the bridge now, between light and dark, life and void. Humanity has taught the galaxy how to live again. Lyra whispered. What happens to us? You become what you were meant to be, Erivo said softly. The apex of creation. The screen filled with light. When it cleared, the Vanguard 2 floated above a newborn star. Around it, fragments of the forge formed a new ring, half metal, half living light. Ryan looked out the window. Commander, I think we just witnessed a rebirth. Lyra smiled faintly. No, we became it. And far beyond that newborn system, across the Milky Way, new life began to stir. Not human. Not apex. Something new, born from both. Centuries later, explorers would find a message carved into the metal of the old forge. It was written in simple words, almost human. They declared war on humanity. They met the apex. And together, they became more.